Hi everyone, it's Samantha from the Dancing Soap Dish. I hope you're well. Today I have a Christmas project for you. It's these beautiful patterned Christmas soaps, which have this lovely gold, it almost looks like Christmas hieroglyphics. There's a beautiful Christmas pattern embossed into the soap with gold mica with a stunning red background. As you can see here, it's a 2-layered soap. These were lots of fun to make, and I just think they're really unique. It's something a little bit unique, something a little bit different for a Christmas soap, and today I'm going to show you how to make them. This project is part of my 2024 Stamped Soap Challenge, where I've challenged myself to come up with a new stamped soap project every month for the whole year. You can find all the Stamped Soap Challenge projects in a special playlist on this YouTube channel. So this beautiful patterned effect is obtained by using a square mold and a background stamp. So this all came about recently when I purchased this new mold here. It's 6 by 6 inches, or about 15 by 15 centimeters in size. And at the same time, I was looking at some cool stamps that I could use in my soap making. And I found these background stamps here, which are close to the same size as this mold. They're just under 6 by 6 inches or 15 by 15 centimeters. And I thought, how cool would it be if I could just put this stamp in the bottom of this mold and create a soap bar with it, pour some soap over it. What sort of effect would I get? So here I am here. I decided to try and line it up perfectly in the center, which can be tricky, but if you take some extra time here to get this right, then it really does help you further on down the track. So I'm just pushing out some air bubbles here that are sitting in between the silicone mold and the silicone stamp. The silicone stamp is sitting quite well, it's sticking well, to the base of the mold. You could use some thin double-sided tape if you needed to fix it in place. And once I was happy with the position, I thought, let's just add some soap. So I've weighed out 300 grams of clear melt and pour soap base. This is an ultra clear one. I'm not going to scent it or color it at this stage. I'm just giving it a good stir here, and I'll probably just wait a minute or so for all the bubbles that are sort of fizzing around in it to sort of dissipate a bit. I have some isopropyl alcohol here that I'm going to spray as I pour, just to make sure that no bubbles are forming on the surface of the stamp. Also stopping to have a look just to make sure there's no bubbles. And then I'm pouring the rest of my soap base into the mold. And finally, I'll also give that another spray with isopropyl alcohol just to get rid of those surface bubbles. Once that layer is set, I'm going to demold this slab of soap with the stamp attached. I'm just going to put it onto some grease-proof baking paper here. Getting it out of the mold is pretty easy. If you just press on the back and give it a light tap on the bench, it should just pop right out, which it has done for me there. Now I just need to pry the stamp away from the soap. So I'm just sort of using my finger and my fingernail to just nudge the edge of the stamp, which then breaks the seal that it has against the soap surface, and then I'm able to sort of pry it up and peel it all the way back. I'm going to put that back in its little stamp packaging so I can use that again. And that was very, very easy to use that stamp. I can see there's some places where the soap did seep underneath the stamp. I'm not concerned about that. What I'll do is I'll just get a knife and I'll be able to trim those edges. See, just like this bit here, there's a little bit of soap that seeped in between the stamp and the bottom of the mold. So you just end up with a tiny little sort of feathery piece of soap, which I'm going to cut off there. And again, just neaten up and trim any other places where that's occurred around the edge before I move on to my next step. I think the patterns come out really, really well. I don't see any bubbles or any smudges or anything. It's It's looking really, really beautiful. Okay, so the next step is to put it back in the mold. This time I'm going to put it pattern side facing up. I'm just going to press that back in there and just leave it in the mold. It just helps to protect the soap layer while you're working on it, to help it keep its shape and whatnot. So that's why I like to just put it back in the mold. Now I have some isopropyl alcohol and this beautiful sort of satiny gold mica that I'm going to use. I have a fine tipped paintbrush and I'm going to make myself up some mica paint and paint the grooves of this Christmas pattern so that I've got a beautiful gold pattern. So I'm just sort of eyeballing. I'm not like following any sort of recipe. Basically, I'm just putting in a bit of mica and a little bit of alcohol. I want quite a loose and fluid paint mix so that it flows quite easily into all the grooves and indentations that the stamp has left in my soap. I mean, you possibly could have used a bigger paintbrush in this case, which might have made this process go a little bit faster. But I like the control that you get from a fine tipped brush in just making sure that that mica makes it just into the grooves that it needs to go into. And there we go. Have a look at this. That is stunning. My beautiful Christmas hieroglyphics. What do you think? It's so pretty. I always make sure to do 2 coats when I'm using mica paint, so I recommend you do the same here. Okay, so once that mica is dry, it doesn't take too long because the alcohol evaporates quite quickly. You need to get a clean cloth. This is a cloth that's never been used, fresh out of the packet. It's dry. I'm not going to wet it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the cloth to buff off the excess mica that's sitting on the surface here. So by doing this, it just makes sure that that mica is only retained in the grooves of the pattern. It just gives the pattern a sharper look, a cleaner look, and it definitely will look much better. For some of the smaller edges, I had to get some Q-tips or some cotton buds here, and I even went around the edges with a toothpick as well, because you don't want any of that mica sitting in the edge that was created where the edge of the silicone stamp met the soap, because those lines will be visible in the soap. So I'm just giving the edges a little bit of scraping off any of that excess mica that's sitting there. There was actually several days between when I first painted this mica and when I got the chance to buff it off. Just having a look here, just making sure I don't need to do any touch-ups. It is good to take it out and have a look from the other side. You'll be able to see better there if there's any missing bits, if you need to do any touch-ups. But as you can see, there's a bit of a gap between where the soap mold ends and where the soap ends, because this soap has shrunk over the past several days while I just had it sitting here waiting to be able to continue with it. So when I do my next layer, there may be some leaking or seeping down the sides, but I'm just going to have to deal with that as it happens. Alrighty, so it's time to pour the second layer of this soap. I've chosen to scent it with a combination of wild orange and balsam fir essential oils, and I'm going to do it this lovely Christmas red. Christmas green would also look fantastic. I opted for the red. I have this beautiful Christmas red mica. I'm adding 1/8 of a teaspoon of the mica that I'm going to mix in with my essential oils, just so it blends a lot easier with the soap when you do that extra step. I also have some carmine pigment suspended in glycerin on hand, which I'll probably add a little bit as well. I'm weighing out another 300 grams, so this layer of soap will be equal to the first layer of soap. And I'm going to melt it down, give it a quick stir. I want to work fast because I don't want this to get too cool, or else it might not stick to the layer of clear, especially since that clear has been set for quite a few days now. So I'm just scraping in my coloring and my fragrance. It's a really pretty red. Yeah, so like I said before, a beautiful Christmas red or a deep Christmas green would make a magnificent background also. All right, so I'm giving that a good stir. As you can see, like when I hold it up, like the soap sort of is, even though it's got the mica in it, it's sort of quite clear looking. So I'm also going to add probably a couple of drops of the carmine, which should make that soap a little bit redder. Probably 1 drop for each of the bars of soap, so 4 drops I've added here. Give that a really good stir. I've also got some titanium dioxide here suspended in glycerin. I always add 1 to 2 drops of the titanium dioxide to my transparent soaps, just to increase the opacity, and it also gives the mica a really sort of satiny, creamy look that I just like. So that's why I've added that titanium dioxide there. Going to give all that a really good stir, just a bit of a spray with alcohol to get rid of those surface bubbles. I don't want those ending up sitting on top of my soap. Now I'm being very careful not to pour this soap directly onto the mica because it can smudge the mica just from the force of the soap and the heat of the soap hitting it. So that's why I'm pouring onto this spoon first, and I'm keeping the spoon moving all over the place so that not one area can get too hot. Giving it a spray with isopropyl alcohol. Now I got rid of the surface bubbles, but I do sort of have this white wispy foam that's sitting on the top here, and that is quite common with the type of melt and pour soap base that I use. I don't particularly like it. I don't think it looks very good. So what I like to do is I like to wait till a slight skin has formed on the surface of the soap, and then I can collect that skin up with a spoon, or 2 spoons in this case. And then once you remove that skin, it tends to remove a lot of that foam as well. Maybe just grab a little bit more of it here. And now I have a much clearer surface of my soap. Okay, so that has all set now, and it's ready to be popped out of the mold. It looks like I did have an issue with some of that red seeping down the sides and even down and under my clear slab of soap, and that red is actually sticking to the mold here, which is making it a little tricky for me to get my soap out of the mold. But I'm giving it a bit of a tap on the bench, a bit of a squeeze, and it will come out eventually. So yeah, as anticipated, I do have some of the red layer that has seeped down the side of the silicone mold and then even under the clear layer. It's still quite soft and pliable, just because the soap hasn't been set for very long. And as you can see, I can peel it back here from the edge of the clear layer, and I'm going to be able to slice that off with my knife quite cleanly. So it didn't end up being too much of an issue. If I'd have let this set a little bit more, it would have stuck more to the clear. So if you do have things like this happen, it's better to sort of trim them up as soon as you can, and don't let them set too much, because the harder they get, the more set they get, the cooler it gets. It is just going to stick where you don't want it to stick. So I'll just give this a really quick clean up here. I mean, I was able to slice that off really cleanly there. Just got a little bit of these wispy bits of red soap, but all in all, that did not come out too bad at all. Okay, let's have a look. Wow, it's so shiny, and the pattern is just so pretty. We've got stockings and trees and snowflakes and holly and reindeer, all sorts of wonderful things. Okay, I'm gonna cut this up. I'm not gonna waste any time because it's nice and soft. So I'm just using, I showed you I had this ball-ended stylus here, which I like to use to mark my soap. Just marking a line here where I'm going to just trim off this edge here that doesn't have the pattern on it, because the stamp didn't come all the way to the edge of the mold, but that's okay. So I'll just trim this piece off here. I'm going to do that all the way around so that the soap that's left is fully covered with the pattern. I think that's just going to look the best for my soap bars. So I'm just giving them a little trim here. And I've decided that I'm just going to divide this soap into 4 soap bars. You possibly could do 6 smaller ones, but I've decided to go with 4 equal size bars today. So I'm just measuring halfway along this slab of soap in both directions, and I'll give them a nice clean cut along the lines that I scored with my ball-ended stylus, and voila, here they are. How easy was that? 4 beautiful patterned Christmas soap bars. So let's take a look here. Here's the edge here. You can see the 2 layers and even a little bit of a gold mica line in between where the pattern was painted. I could bevel these edges, but I think they're so nice and neat, I'm not going to bother. And so here we go. What do you guys think? I think they are different looking, but they're a really beautiful pattern, and against the beautiful rich Christmas red, it's a stunning effect, and I really love it. I think green ones will look amazing too. Anyway, what do you guys think? I really hope you enjoyed today's tutorial for patterned Christmas soaps. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you love what I do, and until next time, enjoy.